Except for I can't count dots.
Great, except for you can't count dots. Okay, well, I'll take a look. I should be able to have those graded and in teams, or now it's called frontline, before the end of seventh period. So you come in on Monday, I'll have the class average up here. And I always like to try and take some time, the next time we meet, so I'll pass back the quizzes. We'll go over any questions you might have, and, we'll just go ahead and keep going. Just a few things. This quiz you'll have till next Friday morning if you want to go ahead and retake it, if you do end up scoring less than an 80, okay, 79 or below. Let's see. We're currently on cumulative frequency. What's coming up on Thursday? Okay, the exam's coming up. Now, you picked up a document today. This is what I was referring to in the previous week, because this is your choice of IA topic. So I'm going to come on over here. Okay. Let's see here. I don't believe I have that pulled up just yet. Okay, so math studies. Okay. Let's scroll all the way down. Let's see, which one was it? Oh, it was one of these. That was the grading rubric. IA info. Was that it? Nope, that was not it. One of these, that's the project checklist. Here we go. Okay, so this is the form that you picked up on the way in. There might be a few changes from the copy I have here, but that's fine. But basically, this is going to be due on Tuesday the 3rd, right after Labor Day. So if you feel you're going to get it nailed down this weekend, you want to go ahead and turn it in early next week, that's perfectly fine. This is going to be taken as a grade itself. But basically, I'm wanting to get a little bit of background information. Okay. Now, this is by no means set in stone. So if you decide at some point you want to go ahead and change your IA topic, please feel free to do so. I just need to know what you're thinking right now. Okay, we're not even looking for data collection at this point. If you go ahead and take a look, I'm kind of more interested. See, there's more information on the back, okay, about the different types of strategies you could potentially be using. That's kind of what I'm more interested in. Okay, so any questions on that? Okay. Well, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get right back to cumulative frequency. Now, what I'm thinking is that Tuesday of next week, I'm going to go ahead and have we're not going to make this one a quiz. I'll probably do it as like a exit ticket or some kind of in-class activity over this. I'll give you the opportunity to go ahead and practice one of these in class, probably even help each other out prior to the exam, because the exam is going to cover pretty much everything from these first two lessons. Okay, so if you do have any questions, I'm available what time in the morning? 7:45, come on in. Okay, so yesterday we started this problem and we got pretty far with it. Cumulative frequency of an event is the accumulation or sum of the frequencies up to and including that event. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and start with just another example. Now, we're not going to run through this example, but I just want you to be able to remember how we were able to determine the cumulative frequency values. Okay, so let's say we have data here divided into class intervals. We have our frequency. It says the number of passengers on a bus route was recorded over a period of time to give the following data. Okay, so it was recorded 3 times that we had between 0 and 10 passengers, 7 times that we had between 10 and 20, and so forth, right? Okay, well, I want to go ahead and create a cumulative frequency column. I'm just going to go ahead and abbreviate these. Okay, so you always go ahead and start with the first frequency for the lowest interval. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 here. But how do I start to generate those other values? You just start adding up the frequencies as you go. So 3 plus 7 will give me 10. And now 10 plus 12. 22 plus 13. 35 plus 29. 64. And we're going to finish up. Okay, 91. 64 plus 27. There you go. That's my cumulative frequency. Okay, so pretty easy on creating it, right? Okay, so what we did after that, okay, for this set of data right here, remember we took the data originally, we went ahead and broke it down into class intervals with a interval width of 1. Okay. We even went ahead and went through this histogram right here, but this is what I'm really wanting to point out to you. The cumulative frequency curve is a graph that's based on increasing accumulations. The graph begins at the lowest boundary. The curve slopes up as we look at it from left to right. What this graph's going to do is provide percentiles for us. That's another way of saying percentages. Jaylee?
So what kind of situation would you use?
Well, basically, if you have data that you're listed as frequency, you could use this in any of those situations. But it can also be used, basically really what it's more used for is more of an organizational tool, I would go ahead and say, because you can break it up according to any percentile that you want to. Now, the main ones that we've already seen, the 25th percentile, remember that's Q sub 1, that's the lower quartile. The 50th percentile, that's Q sub 2, that's the median. The 75th percentile, that's Q sub 3, the upper quartile. Well, I'm describing values or terminology from what kind of graph? Yes, you just had a quiz over it. Box and whisker plot. There you go. And see, that's, really specific, but like I said, you can go ahead and use this curve to go ahead and find any amount of data below a certain item, whatever quantity it is you're talking about. Okay, so this is where we finished up yesterday. We went ahead and plotted these points. The points are in red, and then I went ahead and put the smooth curve through it. Now, when you use the smooth curve, remember, that's the cumulative frequency curve. What do we call it when you just connect them with the straight segments? That's the ogive. Okay, very good. Now, let's go ahead and do a quick review. Where did those points come from? Like, how did I get this point right here? What did I do from the table to get those, all these ordered pairs? There you go. The X value is going to be the upper value, the upper limit of your class intervals. Okay. And what's the Y value? That's the cumulative frequency. That's how you go ahead and get that curve. And a lot of times you'll hear people go ahead and describe it as a lazy S if you go ahead and use the curve through there. Okay. So now, any questions on how we created that? Okay. Okay, well, let's go ahead and now start answering some questions. You'll notice we have A, B, C, and D over to the side. So first off, A, it says go ahead and find the 75th percentile. Okay, so how many links, remember this was based on rod lengths, okay, for whatever purpose they were using it for, but how many total rod lengths did we have? Now, we had 50 in the original set. Now, remember, we ended up with 6 rows when we broke it up into the class intervals. Everybody's okay with that? So what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and take the 75th percentile. That means you want to take 75% of the total number of elements in your data. So I'm going to multiply 0.75 times 50. Okay. And somebody help me out with that. What am I going to get? 37.5. Okay. So if I want the 75th percentile, this represents 3/4 of the data. I'm going to go on over here to my cumulative frequency, and I'm going to go ahead and estimate where I believe 37.5 is. I'm going to go straight across. As soon as I hit the curve, I'm going to go straight down. Okay, so let's see here. The way I've got this, I've only got 5 little tick marks, 5 boxes between each of these. So we're going to have to just estimate. 37.5, so maybe right about here. Would everybody agree? So I'm going to go straight across. As soon as I hit the graph, I'm going to go straight down. Okay. So this looks like, I would say, about 5.4 maybe. Okay, would everybody agree that's what I'm getting in terms of my rod length? Okay, maybe about 5.4. Yes, Stephanie.
Why did you?
Oh, because there are 50 links in the set. Remember when we first started the problem, if you go all the way back here to the beginning, remember there were 50 links that we were looking at. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here. What this tells me is that 5.4, if I were to put all of them in order from least to greatest, all the links below that 5.4 would represent 75% of the data. Okay. Does that make sense for everybody? Does anybody have any questions on that? Or any questions on how I found that?
would
Yes.
you do if you weren't given all the elements?
If you weren't given all of the elements.
Like if you didn't have all of these numbers listed out on the front and you only had the.
Oh, you could still do it because even though, the question we had a moment ago was why are we multiplying it by 50? Remember, we're basing this cumulative frequency graph off of this class interval table. So see, from this point on, even though we knew the data, we were kind of pretending that we didn't know what the 50 was. Because see, I'm still able to know the total number of links in the set, even if we may not know exactly what they are. Is that okay? Okay. So let's take a look at the next one. Okay. Where we have the median. Now this one, okay. This one you probably don't need to go ahead and multiply. The median is the middle value, right? Okay, so if you've got 50 elements, well, what's that going to be? There you go. So you could go ahead if you want to write it out, so later you know why we chose that. The median represents 50%, so I'm going to multiply 0.5 times 50. Well, that's going to give me 25. Okay. So I'm now going to go ahead and do the same thing I did just a moment ago. Just like I found that 37.5 and I went to the graph and straight down, I'm going to do the same thing with 25. Let me go ahead and use a different color here. Okay, so you'll be able to tell, let's use purple. Okay, so 25 is right here. So I'm going to go straight across from 25 until I hit the graph, and then I'm going to go all the way straight down. So what would you say? About 4 point what? 4.8? I would agree with that. So I'd say that's 4.8 meters. Okay. So out of all 50 links that I have in my set, all the links that come before 4.8 would represent 50% of the data, exactly half. Okay. That's what this does. It's just a way to organize your data into percentiles. You're taking percentages. Okay. Is everybody starting to get the idea? It's not bad, right? Nah, of course not. Math is fun. Okay. Yoo-hoo. All right. So do this. Go ahead and take about another minute or so. Try C and D. Find me the 30th percentile and then find me the 25th percentile. Okay. And then we will all come back together and we'll see if we have the same responses. And remember, will answers vary depending on how you draw your curve? Yeah, like if I'm doing this by hand, if I went ahead, the first one we got 5.4, but if my answer was like 5.5, am I going to count off? Probably. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course, there has to be some kind of leeway, right? Okay. I'm always going to have some kind of span of values that if you fall in, you're going to be okay. All right. Okay. All right, so hope everybody by now at least has C taken care of. What's 30% of 50? 15. Okay. So for C, I want to go ahead and start at 15. What is 25% of 50? 12.5. All right. So everybody's getting the correct values that we're going to start from on the vertical axis? Okay. Let's do this one. Let's go a pretty blue this time. All right. So we're going to start at 15. I'm going to go straight across until I hit the graph, and then I'm going to go straight down. Looks to me like we got about 3.4. What were you guys getting? 3.5. Okay, very close. Okay. Now, did anybody get anything radically different? Anybody having trouble with what we're doing? Okay. So I'd say 3.4. So if I lined all those links up from smallest to greatest, everything 3.4 and below, that would be what percentage of the whole set? That would be 30%. Okay, that's what it does. All right, and then the last one, 12.5. Might not want to use black. Let's use yellow. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the screen. We'll just try it. So 12.5, so maybe right about here. Ooh, that's showing up really nice. Hit it, come straight down. What am I getting for that? I'd say 2.8. I'd say that's pretty close. Jacob, that's what you got? Fantastic. Okay, 2.8. And that's it. That is what is known as a cumulative frequency curve. Okay, it's a way to organize the data by percentiles. Okay, use cumulative frequency. All right, good. We got 2 o'clock. I'll bet we can go ahead and at least maybe get the next portion done before we get out of here. Okay. Let's see here. Measures of central tendency. We've mentioned this before. After collecting and presenting statistical data, you can now attempt to interpret the data. One way of doing this is to find the center or middle of the distribution. The most common forms for the measure of central tendency are the mean, median, and mode. Okay, now we have a couple of categories here. Ungrouped data, data comprised of single values that have not been put into groups or classes, like the very first 50 you saw on this paper. Okay, just a set of values, whatever they represent. Or group data, data that's been grouped together according to the number of times each value occurs, i.e. the frequency. There are 2 types. Group discrete, data grouped according to the number of times it occurs. Grouped continuous, data grouped into classes and their precise number of each value is not known, only the frequencies of each class. So sometimes you might be asked to go ahead and create a frequency or a cumulative frequency table given the data. They may even go ahead and tell you what class intervals to use. Sometimes you'll already be provided that information and you won't know what the data actually is. Okay. Mode, the most frequently occurring class of data. Mean. Hello. Okay. Elizabeth. Okay, here we go. All right. It says pass and list testing. So I say we're close enough to private screen. All right, the sum of the data values divided by the number of pieces of data. Okay, we know what that refers to. And then the median, we did that with the box and whisker plots, found by arranging all the data in order of size and selecting the middle term. For the median, 50% of the data lies above the value and 50% lies below. Okay, so let's take this set right here. I think this will be about as far as we're able to get today, and then we'll go ahead and call it a week. Hey, John Henry. Oh, there are statistical inferences, different strategies you can use, but these are by far the most common that people know immediately because you've been doing it for so long. You may not realize, that you're actually doing statistics, but yeah. Okay, so let's take these numbers right here. Looks like I got 10, is that correct? So first thing I would do if given this set of data and I want to go ahead and figure out what the mean, median, and mode are going to be, I would go ahead and start by ordering it. Okay. So what's the smallest value? Okay, it looks like 12. Okay. Then what? Okay, so it looks like I have 2 13, so 13, 13. Okay, what's up next? Okay, I got 1 14. Okay, 3 15s. 15, 15, 15. Okay, then we got a 16, then we got a 17, and we finish up with 18. Okay. So we've ordered it from smallest to greatest. Okay, have a good day, man. And what we want to go ahead and do is get the median out of the way because that's really easy to do. So I'm just going to start working my way in. Is this an odd or an even set of numbers? Even, which means I'm going to have to take the average of the innermost 2. So see, I'm going to go 4 below, 4 above. So it's these guys right here. But this one turned out to be pretty easy. If they're both the same number, then the average is what? It's going to be 15. So I know the median is going to be 15. Okay. And if it's an odd set of values, well, then it is exactly the center value. Like if you have 7, you'll have 3 above and 3 below for that one in the middle. Okay. And let's go ahead and find the mean. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a sum of this. So somebody help me out. 12 plus 13 plus 13 plus 14 all the way plus 18. 148. Okay, so now mean, okay, is, I'm going to take that total of 148, divide it by 10 total elements that we have. So that will give me a decimal value, 14.8. 14.8. Okay. Everybody's okay with how I did that. Okay. And then last up is the mode. Okay. That's the element that occurs the most frequently. What is that? 15. It appears 3 times. There you go. That's mean, median, and mode. Okay. Does anybody not see where I got any of those numbers from? Everybody's okay. Now, we didn't get the opportunity today, but if you remind me on Monday, because I'm probably going to forget, I'm old, going to sleep before we meet each other again. If you remind me, I can show you again how to do this on the calculator using the set of data. Okay. Otherwise, I'm hoping we should be able to go ahead and wrap this up on Monday. With any luck, go ahead and start standard deviation on Tuesday. Okay. And just very quickly, before you go ahead and put your calculators up, don't forget next week you've got 3 drills. When's the first one? Tuesday during first period, that's a fire drill. Okay, then you have 2 on Wednesday. The first one is during fourth period, and it is a lockout. Then the other one's during 7th period, and is a lockdown. Okay, all right.